Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim there where the sense can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan. Welcome to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So, Colts cornerback Isaiah Rodgers was just released because he's going to get suspended for gambling. He actually bet a $1,000 prop bet on his own team. So he actually influenced the game, which is terrible. I'm all for athletes betting on other sports if they want to. I don't think that affects anything, but you shouldn't be able to influence the outcome of the game that you're betting on. So I totally understand why he's released, but that's not the point of the video. Point of the video is that another cornerback is on the market. Now, I don't know if the Ravens would take a chance on him, but he's only 25, and you could kind of wait out the suspension and get a really productive corner for the future. Or you look at this situation and you're like, that was a really stupid move, and we don't want a guy like that on our team. So I understand both ways. Regardless, it's got me thinking again how bad we need another corner. And a lot of Ravens fans think we're all right there, or think that Rocky Ya-Sin is good enough to be opposite of Marlon Humphrey. And I don't know the answer to that for sure, but I'd feel a lot better if we had a more elite-proven corner out there. I've said that before. I trust Rocky Ya-Sin. I think he's solid, but it takes one injury to Marlon Humphrey, and we are in trouble. We're kind of going into this year with our cornerbacks like we did last year with the wide receivers. We put way too much weight on Bateman being healthy last year, and he goes down early in the season, and we have nobody solid to step up. And I think Rocky Ya-Sin is solid, but can he be our number one corner if Marlon happened to go down and then we're stuck with all that young depth behind him? I would expect teams to start throwing all over us. And I love our safeties, and I do like our depth, and I like Rocky Ya-Sin, but that's not good enough in this league. You got to defend Pro Bowl receivers almost every week. There's a lot of elite quarterbacks in the AFC. You can't go in there putting all your eggs in the Marlon Humphrey basket because one thing goes wrong, we're screwed. I think we may be good enough if everyone stayed healthy, if Marlon and Rocky Ya-Sin and most of our depth players stay healthy, but I'm not trusting Pepe Williams and Jalen Armour-Davis right now. They're not even participating in the offseason. They've been injured, so it's kind of hard for me to imagine that they're going to take a huge leap forward if they haven't had a healthy offseason. So it's concerning. It's definitely concerning. We got Marlon, we got Rocky Ya-Sin, but I'm telling you, it's shaky. It's shaky behind that. And Isaiah Rodgers getting cut doesn't mean that I expect the Ravens to take a flyer. I just think it's something to think about. If I had to guess, I would say they don't get him, but I don't think it's a bad move to sign him for basically nothing. He is talented. He's a faster corner. He's young. Doesn't help us this year anyway. It was just an idea that I wanted to float out there. Solutions for this year, we're probably going to have to trade. Peters is still a free agent, but it doesn't seem likely anymore. Anthony Avertt's still a free agent. I don't think signing either of them would move the needle a ton. I wouldn't mind signing those guys to cheap deals, but I think we're going to have to make a bigger move. We talked about Jair Alexander from the Packers being the dream scenario just because they're kind of rebuilding, I think, and he is in his prime or entering his prime, so he might not want to sit through a rebuild. But they did just extend him. He has huge cap numbers. He's 26 years old. He signed through 2026, and next year he has a $24 million cap hit. 2025, he's got a $25 million cap hit. In 2026, he's got a $27 million cap hit. That all comes with some serious dead money. That's a tough contract to fit under the cap. Now, I think we can make that work. We can still restructure Ronnie Stanley, Marlon Humphrey, Mark Andrews. Who knows if Odell is going to be extended in the future to lower his cap hit. He's on a one-year deal, but he has some dead money that also would carry on if he doesn't come back. So we'd like to get an extension done with Odell for sure. Because if we don't sign Odell, we're just paying $12 million cap hit next year for no reason. So we don't want that. If we can extend Odell, we can probably make his cap hit like $4 million next year or something. We can create flexibility to fit a Jair Alexander in the cap. It is possible. It's always possible. And we have a little bit more flexibility than a lot of other contenders. It's not out of the question. I just think that contract could be a problem and could be a deterrent from the trade. But I hope not. I'd love to make it work. I think having a Jair Alexander next to Marlon Humphrey is all we need. That his defense is the best in the league by far. And we agreed to terms with Darius Slay this offseason. The Eagles just matched it, and he went back. But the fact that we were willing to give Slay exactly what he wanted and spend that much money tells me that we understand that cornerback is a position of need, especially a top-level corner like a Darius Slay or Jair Alexander. Now, Slay's older, probably been a 1-2 year deal, and that would have been a perfect scenario, but he went back to the Eagles. We ended up signing Odell, and it didn't work out. But I still think there's a move to be made. Jair Alexander is the dream scenario, probably unlikely if I'm being logical about it. And I looked around the league, and there's just not going to be that many available corners, top-level available corners. A.J. Terrell just got his 5th-year option picked up for the Falcons. So next year will be his last year. He's obviously going to want an extension really soon, probably this season. Maybe he gets disgruntled and hits the market, or the Falcons trade him just to get something for him. That could be a really big piece. But that's not going to happen this offseason. That would probably have to happen during the season or next offseason. And then once again, you have to then sign A.J. Terrell to a huge Jair Alexander type deal. But he's 25, and at some point we're going to have to bring in that new corner to replace Marlon. I think Marlon Humphrey has a couple more elite years in him, but if you don't have that backup plan coming through the pipeline, we're going to end up getting stuck with no corners. And I can't also expect Marlon Humphrey to stay completely healthy year after year. He usually does get banged up a little bit each year. And we've seen when Marlon Humphrey leaves the game, it doesn't go well. Every single time Marlon Humphrey leaves the field, all of a sudden our entire secondary looks like it doesn't know how to play football. And that's why I think being really aggressive for a top corner is in play. Now, Jair Alexander and A.J. Terrell are dream scenarios. Those are like the top guys that I could see possibly wanting to leave and us being able to possibly pull off. I think the cap numbers are the biggest deterrent. I feel like they're worth the draft capital. I just think that it's going to be hard to fit a huge contract like that under our salary, but I know it can work. And the other option, which is probably the most likely option, is to wait. And that's wait until training camp, until the preseason. There might be a really good veteran corner that's cut. That's a cap casualty. We see that every year. So you could wait, play it out, keep the little cap money that we do have now as flexibility to then pounce. So you don't know who's going to come up. You don't know who's going to be available. And if not during training camp or the preseason, then during the regular season up until the trade deadline. We seem to make midseason trades all the time. Eric DeCosta is notorious for making midseason trades or trades near the trade deadline. Marcus Peters happened that way. Roquan Smith last year happened that way. I could see us waiting a little bit into the regular season as well, and then going to get a corner that becomes available, basically, that we're not even thinking about right now. That's the most likely scenario in my mind, is that the Ravens just keep waiting and they pounce when the opportunity's right. Because I promise that something will present itself. Some corner will become available that we would like to have. And if you have the flexibility, you can just stay patient. So I don't love going into the regular season with the exact cornerback room that we have right now, but I think we could be okay. I just think that trade has to come at some point. I really believe we have to acquire someone else. And if not, then we better hope Marlon Humphrey and Rock Ya-Sin stay healthy. So I think it's really important. I think getting another corner is the final piece. Sure, we could sign a veteran edge. That's nice, too, for a rotational guy. I think that will happen. But there's a lot of options there still. That's a cheaper option. I think we need a really good corner still. And until we get that, I don't feel super comfortable. I feel comfortable if no one got hurt. So I'd like to make a move, and I think a move will happen. Most likely it'll be closer to the regular season or during the regular season. And I trust the Ravens to do their due diligence on those guys and be aware of those moves and be aggressive when needed. Eric DeCosta has proven to do that, and I think that will happen again. I'm just curious as to see who it is and when it is, because I have to believe another corner's being added. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if we start and end the season with the corners that we have right now. Let me know what players you guys might be thinking of that we can go trade for or that could potentially be released. Or let me know if you guys don't even think we need a corner. So let me know your thoughts. As always, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.